Chapter 9. Pharaoh's Crates. To follow the urging of deity and subsequently feel the promised rewards is itself one of the greatest blessings in this life. Amador, Capitulo 1. In a flash of light, deity was gone. Estolia continued speaking as if the entire conversation had never taken place. Until those who are worthy walk upon her shores. Zacharias looked at the beautiful woman whom deity proclaimed would be his mate, who would keep his soul safe and protected. He could think of no woman more beautiful than she was, especially with the golden shimmering glow of the aura he could now see. You are correct. Deity looks out for this land and brings us here together. He looked at the crates strewn up and down the rocky beach. We should focus on the smaller crates. The larger ones are less likely to be swept back out to sea. While they worked, it occurred to him that the cargo bound for the Pharaoh was evidence of how deity was already providing for them. The sun was dropping toward the west when Zacharias said, "We must find a good location to spend the night." Estolia pointed towards a mountain peak in the distance. "Let's go in the direction of those mountains. First, we should see what things the crates hold that might improve our comfort." One of the crates had several large bags used as padding for the sculpture within. Estolia joined him and looked in at the golden cat statue partially visible. She lifted her skirt, which was encrusted with salt and stained by seawater. "I never thought I could wish for something other than a gold statue. I would prefer some clean clothing." Zacharias pulled several bags out of the broken container and handed them to her before picking up a couple of his own. Earlier, he had noted that the last few crates near a rocky outcropping had been partially smashed, and the contents within were visible. One appeared to contain garments of some sort. "The Pharaoh has a taste for fine apparel, insists upon it. We should investigate those crates," he pointed. She started to move in the direction he indicated, but then paused, looking at him with a slight frown. "What about you, Zacharias?" She reached out and touched the shredded shirt hanging off him, brushing the caked sand off the skin over his ribs. He had to contain the shiver of reaction to her touch. He cleared his throat before saying, "We will look together." She laid several of the cloth bags on the rocks and started pulling garments out of the crate. The first item she pulled out was an elaborate dress. Her lips parted and she exhaled sharply. One delicate hand brushed over the intricate beadwork. "This is a work of art," she whispered. She carefully set the dress down on the cloth bag, smoothing it with one hand. A soft sigh punctuated the moment when she turned her attention back to the broken crate. The next item was a simple creamy-colored sheath. She held it up in front of her body and then beamed a happy smile in his direction. "This will work." She pushed several additional items into one of the cloth bags until she came to some that were undeniably masculine. As with the dresses, the first was elaborate. The tunic did not boast the same type of beadwork, but the embroidery was intricate, in bright primary colors. Without asking his opinion, she pushed it into a second cloth bag. The next item she pulled out was as simple as her own outfit. An off-white tunic or overshirt, and a sturdy set of workmanlike breeches. She held them against him, tilting her head to the side before her lips curved upward in a smile of pleasure. "These look like they were made for you, Zacharias." He took the proffered items and then glanced down at his attire, seeing the skin showing through the rips. His clothing was ruined, and he was filthy. "I saw a small stream near those two trees. We could rinse off and then change into clean clothing," she observed. A rose-colored flush on her cheeks emphasized the beauty of her bone structure. He followed her to a warm hollow filled with sluggish water. I will bring you some more of those bags. You can dry yourself with them and then dress, she told him. He pulled the ruined clothing off, piling it on the bank nearby. When Estolia returned, her eyes were fixed on the clothing and cloth sacks in her hands rather than looking at him. Here, she said softly. She set the items down within his reach and then turned hurriedly. Speaking over her shoulder, she said, Let me know when I may return and do the same thing. A short while later, Zacharias left Estolia bathing in the stream. He moved towards the broken crates he thought held some food and other delicacies. He packed a few things in the sacks methodically, but his thoughts weren't on what he was doing. He stopped to feel the new breeches. They were a higher quality weave than he had ever worn before. He raised his right hand to the lapel of the shirt and rubbed it between thumb and forefinger, feeling the richness of the fabric. He felt as if he'd suddenly risen in rank from mere hired muscle to the nobility. That was when it struck him, like the coldest mountain stream water rushing down his spine. Deity proclaimed him a king over this land. Did he really have a conversation with a goddess? He could feel an echo of confirmation, as if she listened in on his thoughts and answered his question. He tied the last sack closed and then knelt on a broad rock. He closed his eyes and focused his attention inwardly towards Deity. He promised to keep his word every day of his life, and to teach his descendants to do the same.